everyone, Steve Harvell with Creative Ventures, and welcome to our third installment in our brand new video series, Did You Know? It's a brilliant idea that Colin came up from that allows me to tell stories that I've been saving for stage presentations. Since we're not sure when we're going to be able to do those again amid the coronavirus pandemic, I thought that maybe I'd be able to share them in this new format he created. So this is the third installment, and this one's going to be a little longer than the other two, but bear with me because it'll be worth it. Now, there are three players involved in this story. The first is Bob Iger. In 2019, Bob Iger was the CEO of the world's largest entertainment company and arguably one of the best CEOs in the last 150 years as he ran the Disney Corporation. The second player is Tom Rothman. He's with Sony Pictures. And the third player involved in this is young Tom Holland. Now, you may not recognize Tom, but think of Tom as Spider-Man. And that's how this story begins. When Disney acquired Marvel, it didn't get everything from Marvel. See, Marvel had some financial troubles in the past, and in order to solve those troubles, they sold off key elements of their characters. They sold the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and Hulk to Fox, and they sold Spider-Man to Sony. Now think about this. This is like buying an ice cream store in which you don't get chocolate and vanilla. Those are some of the iconic characters in the universe of Marvel, and Disney didn't get them in the acquisition. So what happened was, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe was developing, they desperately wanted Spider-Man back in. So Iger and Rothman sit down and they negotiate a very complex agreement that has distribution rights and merchandising and profit sharing in that allowed Spider-Man to come over to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the one key element in that negotiation was the creative aspect around Spider-Man would belong back in Marvel Disney. And boy, was it successful. He first appeared in Captain America Civil War in a very small role, but the place went crazy for it. And later on went to star in two standalone movies, both billion-dollar revenue producers, including Far From Home, which did about $1.2 billion and became Sony's largest grossing film in history. So now it's the early summer of 2019 and this agreement is expiring and the two parties sit down and they're trying to figure out how to negotiate the continued use of Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The problem was there was just a ton of money on the table and everybody wanted more. Sony wanted more, Disney wanted more, Marvel wanted more, everybody wanted more. And they couldn't figure out how to do it. The agreement expires, Spidey reverts back to Sony. Now this isn't lost on the fan base. Every year, Disney holds a biannual fan fest called D23. D for Disney, 23 for 1923, when Walt originally started the Disney Company. This is held in Anaheim, California, and it draws 75,000 people. And there you get little sneak previews of films, and you get to see panels discussing new ideas that are coming out, and merchandising and cosplay, and it's just a gigantic Disney love affair. And during this love affair, a lot of the Marvel character actors are there. The Avengers are there. And Tom Holland makes a surprise appearance. Now, most of the people already knew that they were going to lose Holland back to Sony, and they were devastated by it. Holland certainly knew. But he wasn't there for that. He was there because he was a voice actor in the Pixar movie Onward, which if you haven't seen, you should. It's another spectacular emotional journey that Pixar puts us through. Holland comes out, the place goes crazy. He knows he's out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He sees all of his Avenger friends over here getting photos taken and he can't be involved in them. But he uses the opportunity on stage not only to promote the Pixar film, but to thank everybody for the incredible journey that he had as Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the place gave him a 3-minute standing ovation. Now, this was not lost on Bob Iger, this emotional connection between the fans and Tom Holland. So as Holland leaves D23, he's asking Disney officials if he could get the contact information for Iger, email, phone number, something along those lines, and that's guarded like the gold at Fort Knox at Disney, but he gets the email address, and when he gets back to London, Tom's British, he sends Iger an unbelievably heartfelt email that thanks him for changing his life for the better by choosing him to be the Spider-Man, allowing him to be with all the other Marvel people, and he was just both devastated and overjoyed at the opportunity. Iger read this very carefully and immediately sent a response to Holland. He said, "Would you be willing to talk on the phone regarding Spider-Man? And could you send me a schedule?" When Holland got the email, he was surprised it happened so fast. And you don't send Bob Iger a schedule. You just say, whenever, call me whenever. When Iger got that email, because he's a really immediate kind of guy, he calls Holland. But Holland in London is at a pub with his family playing trivia, and he's 3 pints into the game when the call comes. He steps outside, takes the call from Iger, and is almost uncontrollable emotionally about it. And he tells him, "I'll do anything." And he said, Iger said, "I might need your help." He said, "It's a done deal." The very next day, Iger calls Rothman. They sit down in the second phase of negotiations, ones that they hope will work. And they figure out a methodology to bring Spider-Man back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is a multi-billion-dollar negotiation over a single comic book character. At the end, when Iger's describing this, which gets described a little different than Holland describes it, he said he went into those negotiations with a different viewpoint. A viewpoint that he said, "I will say for every negotiation I do for the rest of my life," and that is, there are people behind the primary negotiation that you need to think about. And if you think about the people that sit behind the negotiation, you will negotiate differently. So as Iger sat down, he was thinking about those people that gave him the standing ovation and the tears in their eyes and the emotion in Tom Holland's voice, and he realized this was more than just a negotiation about a comic book character. This was a negotiation about an emotional connection that will drive that character forward. And as he thought about that, he said, this is a piece to remind people of when they enter negotiations. And we do this all the time. We negotiate sales and service agreements. We negotiate travel elements. We're negotiating all the time. Think about this. When you're designing your strategy, create the beginning point, but take a look behind that strategy and take a look at all those other people that are affected. And that will cause you to have a different look at how you develop your strategy. It will make you stronger. It will make you more connected to the desired outcome. It's a brilliant aspect of negotiation and as simple can get. Thanks for allowing me to share the story of Spider-Man with you and Disney and Sony and Tom Holland. I look forward to doing the next one of Did You Know? Thanks so much for listening.